Esteemed guests, students, and parents, a very warm welcome to another captivating episode of the HT Dialogues. The new education policy underlines the significance of fostering entrepreneurship to offer fresh opportunities for education centered around industry needs. The primary goal is to cultivate a proactive, creative, and future oriented mindset in the next generation. Entrepreneurial education does not necessarily intend to turn every individual into an entrepreneur. Rather, its purpose is to instill a mindset that guides students towards excellence, both in academic settings and beyond. That is the discussion we are looking to make today under our topic equipping students with entrepreneurial skills for success. Our panelists for today are Ms. Supriti Chauhan. She is the principal of Delhi Public School, Gautam Budh Nagar, Noida. She is a seasoned educator and a teacher trainer for 21st century core skills at the British Council.
Thank you, Rupali. Thank you for having me over.
Mr. Kavaljeet Khungar is a passionate educator with 25 years of leadership in schools under the names Bharat National Public and Happy English School. Welcome, sir.
Thanks, Rupali. Thank you so much.
Dr. Venkatesh is an experienced dean at the School of Management and Entrepreneurship at Shiv Nadar University. A very warm welcome to all of you. We'll start with you, Ms. Chauhan. We hear about the need for entrepreneurial mindset among students at an early age. What is really the reason for this need at such an early age?
Thank you for the question, Rupali. I would say, and you started off saying in your introduction as well, that it is not just for setting up businesses. The need and what is very imperative today in today's world is setting up students for success and not just running after jobs. If they can create more jobs, and why not? And when we talk about setting up students for success, start early is the name of the game. So often people equate an entrepreneurial mindset with setting up businesses or business oriented. However, it's true to a point. However, it's not entirely, I would say, correct. Entrepreneurial mindset has much more in terms of scope. Skills that set students' learning journey into a successful path that they choose, whether it is setting up their business or any other job domain, or even in their personal life, beyond the schooling, beyond the education and the degrees. So if we set up children at an early age, if we bring in that learning, that entrepreneurial mindset, then it is not just one skill, it is an array of skills that we will be bringing into their learning, which will have, or which will build that inclination of discovery, of creating something, of evaluating something from a bouquet of choices, of choosing the correct decision, risk taking. All of that is packaged in that mindset. So it'll be unfair if we say that it is just one kind of a subject that will be introduced to young children apart from what we have in the senior grades. It is a set of skills that will help our children to be successful in their lives in whatever they choose to do because of what comes along with that mindset. So that's why I strongly propose, and I'm a very strong proponent of teaching children entrepreneurial mindset right from the kindergarten, not just primary or wait for them to choose it as their focal subject. We start early, and it should not be, I think I'll highlight here, it should not be treated as an extra subject that is to be taught to children. It is to be inbuilt, or it is to be built into the existing curriculum or the learning content that children go through as their primary learning content, and it becomes a part of that learning, whether it is language literacy or numeracy or environmental sciences. You can ingrain that entrepreneurial mindsets with these projects and activities along with it.
So, I mean, very well said. As I hear, it is a skill-based development, or to say, safe to say, it's holistic growth.
Absolutely.
largely to develop aptitude to make them into effective leaders as they go along. So to continue, you did mention the word skills a few times, in your answer. So while building this entrepreneurial mindset from an early age, uh, what skill set are we aiming to nurture in students? If you could highlight a few.
So when since I'll probably just take it further from the previous question when you mentioned the keyword early age, and I'll begin there because the need is now to start at an early age if we have not already started. So as I also mentioned that it's a bouquet, it's an array of skill set, the entrepreneurial mindset. So possibly in my if I have to highlight to begin with, there are multiple skills. I would probably start with communication and collaboration as a skill that we need to build in our young learners, our young students at an early age. Uh, you may have a great idea, a great business idea, or a great presentation, but if you don't have the right communication skills, if you are not collaborative in your pursuit of learning, I do not think you'll be able to present it well or you'll be able to communicate it well. So that will be number one in terms of skill. I would say encouraging creativity in children, decision making in children, taking measured risks, knowing the uncertainty of the outcome, but teaching this as a skill, I think very, very important. I would say financial literacy. So with young children, you may begin with activities which has role modeling, where there is not just exchange of money, it is exchange of services, or it is servitude, or exchange or bartering for that matter. So it's something that we do in various of our projects with our young learners. So that would be another important skill that I would possibly very important in my learning goal for children would be setting them up to uh, accept failures. So if something does not go right, then instead of taking a setback or feeling bad about it, how do they evolve out of it? How do they come forward and start again with their plan B, the concept of plan B or even plan C? So I would say very important that we train children as a skill to turn setbacks or failures into successes. Now here, just to complement this, when you're setting them up for accepting failures, you also train them for resilience. So that would be another aspect that I would say that skills, these to begin with, you ingrain these in your lesson plans when you are planning activities, projects, assignments, or your learning content in the classroom. When you have these skills in some form of the other throughout your learning content, I think we would be doing justice to our children's learning journey when we talk about training them for an entrepreneurial mindset. So yes, this is how I would number to begin with. It's not the end of it. There are many more, and as you move up the grades, the skill set differ and they become more different for each learning group. But yes, to begin with at an early age, this is how I would start.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ms. Chauhan, for that. And we hear that by instilling these skills that you've laid out, our students, I think we'll be equipping them to handle tomorrow's challenges, making them adaptable
Absolutely,
to anything
absolutely.
and everything basically that life has to offer them. Uh, Mr. Khongar, coming to you, could you talk us through the strategies that schools are employing to effectively integrate entrepreneurial skills into the existing curriculum in order to inspire students at an early age?
Yeah, thanks. What I think actually in context of this entrepreneurial thinking, I always believe in that kind of philosophy that it's not about skill, it's about the mindset, which you rightly placed the beginning of it also. And with NEP into process, with all other things, actually, the way the job market is shaping up, it became imperative for us also as schools to be able to navigate our way through different kind of possibility where this kind of mindset be developed into children, where they can be prepared for unpredictability of the future. And therefore, we've been trying out different things. Clarity of Purpose was a program we run actually for children from 9th to 12th grade to give them some kind of internship experience and make them understanding about the job world. But even that did not work that well. The strategy then we came up was we had to understand that the entire pedagogical difference which entrepreneurship mindset demands require a different kind of setting. And therefore we came up with a program like in our school, and we've been a part of Business Blaster program also of Delhi government, and students been participating into that. But still we felt it was more product oriented rather than building that mindset. So in a way it helped actually kickstart that program. But one of the program which we started was with the SSO, which we call School Society and Organization. The idea behind that program was right from the inception was to build students' capability into a zone where they can deal with the uncertainties of future. The 21st century skills an imperative part of it, but they have to have some context to learn all these things. So to create a context, actually, we took them through this journey which starts from self-awareness, where they are trying to map their own unique strengths. They're trying to map the strength of their fellow students also, so that some kind of collaboration is possible. And then they try to identify a problem they are seeing in society which impacts them. So it can then trying to find a solution of that problem, trying to find a prototype, creating a prototype to find for that solution of that problem also. They work in groups where collaboration, leadership, initiative, all these kind of 21st century skills get embedded into the process. But also I believe while they are preparing, and both these aspects, if they are something which has impacted them personally, now either because here we have also attached it with the seva project which CBSE mandates. So either it can go into some kind of a business idea, or otherwise it can go into some kind of a societal transformation idea, something which the society can be benefited out from. So yes, taking students to different visits to different NGOs, sensitizing them, and then they are finally actually preparing for their presentation where they give the entire idea how they have arrived at that. So there's an entire process which has been mapped out. So it's an intense process, yes, but we could feel unless that context was provided, that kind of mindset was difficult to develop in children. So that we somehow been able to have some kind of headway into this.
I think brilliant. So building student capability, I think while nudging students outside their comfort zone, yet providing them support seems to be a great strategy that I think your school has been following. Continuing with you, Mr. Kungar, recognizing the crucial role teachers play. We hear what you're doing with students. There is a important role that the teachers will play in students development. So what steps can schools take to ensure teachers are adequately trained to impart these entrepreneurial skills?
Absolutely. That's actually the core of implementation. The success of any implementation depends upon how teachers are actually perceiving it and taking it forward. So, a very relevant question. It's not only about this practice, for all these practices, we always believe unless teachers are trained, and trained not in some terms of skill only, also in terms of mindset, unless they own what actually they are now going to work with children also on new projects, is important. There is complete sense of ownership in teachers. So while rolling out this program also, when we were doing it, we felt that it's important and imperative for teachers to have some kind of support, in service support, for implementing this program successfully. So before we started off with these learning meetings, reflection sessions, but we started off with this building ownership scenario where we had a complete 3 hour sessions with teachers and sharing with them the entire nuances spectrum of the program and how much actually it will fall in teachers' plate also in terms of their work life as well. So having that buy-in was important. It is always there. We always believe when an adult changes, only then the things around the person changes. So the teachers, when they had bought into that idea and understood that this is something very relevant for children, very important, very contemporary, they need to learn because the job market is such now. And to live their life successfully, of course, they need to incorporate all these things in their lives. And regular subject, of course, with pedagogical restrictions and exams and other things, do not provide that kind of space and scope. So once they were onboarded, then the journey became an adventure in itself, because then teachers were given the complete. Now, whatever we were supposed to take with children, we had to prepare a separate plan for teachers first of all. The teachers experienced all of them in things in their own context. They were sensitized towards the needs, their personal need, and how they can be the change makers. So with that kind of rigorous kind of engagement with teachers help them also look through the program, and then it became far more easier. When we are talking about what kind of questions to ask from teachers, from students, teachers need to be equipped with this kind of understanding, because this requires a very different approach. Design thinking requires a very different approach. You don't have fixed answers. It's a journey of exploration. You explore different things on the way. So when you're asking these kind of questions, it might sound very irrelevant in a regular classroom scenario, but here when we are asking a question what a frog is saying to the elephant, for example, or how a chair can be used in 25 different ways except for sitting. So these were the things which were for sparking the creativity in children, but teachers first of all to understand the relevance of it. So once that was taken up, now the reflective sessions, of course, after teachers have those kind of engagement with the student, they come back and there are weekly reflection sessions on. So they learn, take help from each other. But yes, still, I would say a lot of hand holding is being done. We have an innovation cell in school which takes care of all these new initiatives. So they see till the time it's actually implemented at a ground level properly, these things are being given a lot of push, and not in terms of attitude but also in terms of skill. So yeah, the work is still going on, but we are very happy the way it has shaped up, and people are happy seeing those kind of changes in children.
Trust our teachers, always motivated to ensure that students get the best in whatever they are teaching. Dr. Venkatesh, in your opinion, what role does hands-on practical learning play in preparing students for these for entrepreneurial success? Would appreciate if you can support your answer with some examples. We would love to hear those.
Thank you very much, Rupali, and thanks, HT, for creating this platform. Now, we are called the School of Management and Entrepreneurship. We are probably one of the few schools which has entrepreneurship attached to management. And having been founded by a prominent entrepreneur himself, the entrepreneurial gene runs very deep in the school. Now, I'm going to talk about a specific experiment we started 2 years back. It's called the Venture Lab. It's a copyrighted product, and it's a 10-credit compulsory course for undergrad students in management. 10 credit means approximately 150 hours. What we are actually doing is asking students to start a venture and financing it. We actually provide money to students to try out their venture. So they have a year and a half in which they try out starting a venture, and the whole course climaxes with pitches being made by different groups around their products, and the piloting that they have done, and the revenue successes they might have had. Now, for the faculty and for the students, it's been a rough learning experience, I would say. My co-panelist, Mrs. Chauhan, mentioned, working collectively, working in teams. You would think that, students who have been coached in school to do this come to college and that comes naturally to them. It's, the faculty are at their wits' end, bringing 5, adults into the same room to get to discuss an idea and meet, deadlines and stick to meeting schedules and so on. We have been going around asking students what's the experience like. And some of them say, I'm not sure why I'm doing this. It's an honest answer, right? And we try to say that, we are preparing you for the future. And the students come back and say, but I'm not seeing how. I intend to work in a large multinational, what has this got to do with anything? But there are some bright spots. And, when we force the students to reflect a bit, they realize that, there are things that need to be done in order to be entrepreneurial. And maybe, there are some shortcomings in their own conduct of these projects and so on, which comes out, as a learning for themselves. So, my co-panelist, Mr. Kungar, said that, it's got to be experienced. And we are actually putting the students through that experience. But when we look at the faculty, the faculty also struggle in order to get the students together and get the project out. So in short, our finding is that we have to stick with it. We will find some success down the line. There is no magic formula to teaching entrepreneurship, but as a nation, as a country, we are very high on entrepreneurial orientation. Global measures show that India is among the top 10 among entrepreneurial orientation. And the classic jugaad formula, that works in many innovations, etc., that is unique to our country. So we are entrepreneurial. But when we put this in a curriculum, in a classroom, etc., students begin to struggle. And that's the thing that we are trying to overcome and make this a success. So overall, we are very pleased with the progress. There's been a lot of learning, but entrepreneurship being taught is still a skill in its infancy.
I just love the example that you gave of the venture lab, and I think the challenges that you're facing in this lab or in this class is good enough an example exactly what you're prepping the students for, So they will really turn out, I'm sure the skills that they will pick up are really the ones that Ms. Chauhan also spoke about. So the challenges will prep them for that. To continue with you, Dr. Venkatesh, how can schools establish meaningful collaborations with industries? I do meet principals and they face a whole lot of challenge. How do they establish these collaborations with industries to provide students with real world insights and experiences in the business and startup landscape?
I think, it's got to be a win-win. Even at the university level, we struggle with this, and we have to make a business case for companies to see that these kind of collaborations will result in some benefits for the company. Primarily, it's creating the company's brand in the labor market, so to speak, so that students see the company as an attractive employer. The CSR kind of angle to getting collaboration has limited use. I think companies may not be too forthcoming with their contributions if we go that way. So I would say there must be a clear business case for it. And secondly, I think there must be some well-formed structures and processes in the schools. For example, we have now set up in our business school a corporate relations program under the charge of a professor of practice who has come to us from the Tata Consulting Services. There she was doing academic collaboration programs. She was linking TCS to academic institutions. And now here she's going to do the opposite way. That means link academic institutions to corporations. So she has a set of brilliant projects, that give benefit to the company and also at the same time, benefit the university. Now, if you ask me what kind of things that companies can benefit from, high school graduates or high school students, my answer is that they are the future customers, and companies would like to know how they think, what excites them, and so on. And most CEOs are in their 50s, and so making the connect with the youth, the future employees and the future customers is critical. And I think this provides a wonderful platform, but it's got to be around the program and around a kind of a structure with a leadership, that kind pushes the initiative.
Thank you for giving us both the perspectives of the school front and the front of the business as well. Ms. Supriti, how can schools involve parents in fostering entrepreneurial skills in their children to create a collaborative learning environment beyond the classroom?
So I'm smiling because I remember a remark Dr. Venkatesh made, that it's difficult to make 5 people sit together when it comes to coming to a consensus. And that is why probably I had communication and collaboration as my first and foremost skill that we ought to teach all our children. Now, coming to the question where you said, how do we involve them? So I would say when it comes to just as the home front to begin with, again, communication and collaboration involving the child, being communicative with the child, and collaboration in every aspect of home decisions. I'm saying, other than just the child's schooling or the room or playing outside, there are certain moments and times or instances where parents can take, for example, planning a holiday or going out for a weekend, where you can involve. That's one, again, communication and collaboration. And then comes fostering a sense of independence, allowing the child to do things on his or her own, and to begin with a simple task as doing your daily homework or self study begins at home, and allowing that for a child, be supportive, be around, supervise, but dissuade from being that hovering helicopter. Why I say communication, collaboration, and independence? Because that's the basic, let's say, seeding of a mindset which sets the child up for self-awareness and the confidence and the faith that child may have, that all right, my voice has a meaning and it is listened to. So that's one. As a school, we have this two aspect. One, by invitation, we call parents who are successful in various fields, not just businesses, in the job profiles, in NGOs. We invite them over for a talk or an interaction. Now, this is something that we initiated this year only. It's at a very nascent stage, and parents came forward, volunteered for this, and we felt that we post the second term we can initiate a program where we invite parents, where they can talk, engage, and interact with the students and answer their questions, and perhaps take it forward as a school. This is something of a program which we have already implemented this year, and we are yet to go into the second stage. And the second stage would be allowing children, right from, let's say, primary level, grade 5 upwards, at a different, let's say, learning stage, to the industry if possible, or to the institution if possible, where they see things firsthand. For the senior children, of course, it works out wonderfully well, and not just for the students of commerce or those who have subjects as entrepreneurship, but for everybody, which is because, as I say, and I've said it before also, that entrepreneurial mindset is not just a single skill or a subject that is to be taught to the ones who opt for it, but it is a way of life. It is a set of skills which, if taught right from an early stage, will definitely help everybody in every domain, in every professional front, even in personal front. And as Mr. Kungar also mentioned in his statement, one of the information he shared, for any problem that arises in a society, solving that as well. For that also, you need an entrepreneurial mindset. So having parents on board as collaborative, volunteering teachers, I wouldn't say teachers, mentors, and taking children out to their place of work. This is something that we are trying it out, and I'm sure it will be successful, because our parent fraternity has really come forward, and I'm hoping it will be a success story. And I really liked the idea that Dr. Venkatesh also shared, that he has a corporate relationship professor that they have said it. I liked it. So probably I'll also have a single point of learning mentor at school who would assist us in this and get us connected to not just parent community, but also to higher institutions like this, which allow our children right from this stage to be venturing into it. So that's my take on how I involve parents into having our children learn.
Wonderful work happening at every level in the school, I must say, Ms. Chauhan, and open communication that you highlighted on every front, and encouraging independent thinking are the keywords, I guess, parents, that we need to go with. Dr. Venkatesh, aligning with the Atmanirbhar Bharat goals, how has India progressed in terms of instilling an entrepreneurial mindset in students to create jobs in the country?
Before I answer your question, I find the discussion so fascinating. So I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you. Rupali, please come and visit us at the university. I will introduce you to the students who are going through this TVL. Mr. Kungar, Mrs. Chauhan, warm welcome to you. And, the students that you prepare, are probably going to be some of our best undergrad students. So we should think about
Absolutely.
building bridges between the university and the schools as well. And I
I
see,
agree.
Mrs. Chauhan, you are in Gautam Budh Nagar. It's not very far from where we are.
Yes,
And so the welcome stands, and I'll send you all an email after this.
that will be
I
lovely.
would lap up this opportunity. Would love
That
to
would be
meet your
lovely.
students.
I love to have all of you there, and I would love for you to meet the students. And we have these events, where they do the pitches. So please come and join us there, and I'll make sure that it all happens in the first quarter next year.
Absolutely. Would
Lovely.
love it. Yeah.
Lovely.
It's the same. I think actually this platform is giving that opportunity, because here also the school students will be giving some kind of presentation, the final presentation.
Absolutely.
And people could be a part of that presentation. I mean, giving them some feedback and inputs that would go a long way into building students' skill into this.
I mean, we were talking about building bridges with corporates and the parent community and all that. But, schools and colleges, we have an opportunity, right? So let's look forward to that. And Rupali, look forward to having you on campus. But now coming back to your question. Yeah, thank you very much for accepting that. Coming back to the question, I think, when I see my graduating students now, there is a very strong orientation to moving into entrepreneurship, trying out something, creating value, creating jobs, making a difference, making life better in general. I have the opportunity to lecture not only in India but also in universities around the world. India is now seen as a hub for entrepreneurship. The ecosystem has built up beautifully. There are financing opportunities, there are mentoring facilities. Most universities have good incubators. I used to work in IIM Bangalore when the first incubator was set up there. But now we have created unicorns out of that place. It's, for me, mind-boggling. So what has happened as a result of the national policy as well as the general discourse is that entrepreneurship is no longer seen as something that people do because their parents or grandparents were in business. There are so many first generation business owners today, right? And people who have created wealth from the scratch, right? And this for me is a fantastic development in India, wherein it's no longer public sector or large established multinationals or family business houses who are the employers. People are willing to join hands, join forces with these new companies, take risks. And that was one of the things that Mrs. Chauhan mentioned: entrepreneurship, risks. And it's not only the entrepreneur, but the people who are joining the entrepreneur, working on stock options and low salaries in the hope of creating value in the future, etc. It's a movement. It's definitely a movement. And if I ask my students today, the top students where they like to go, most of them have actually entered the MBA or the business, undergrad program with a business idea. So I think for the country, it's a fantastic, news, so to speak. The only challenge I see there is that, and I come back again to the point that Mrs. Chauhan made, how to dust off failures, get back on your feet and get going. I think we need support systems. And here again, parents become important, teachers become important, friends circles become important, and even the whole ecosystem of financing and facilities become important, because failures are inherent to this. And I would not be very satisfied if the people who tried these eventually find themselves on the streets. They have done something good, and therefore we need a support system that values this experience even if it is a failure.
I love that answer. Cheers to that moment. And thank you all for being being the leading light to this movement that you just spoke about, Dr. Venkatesh. Dr. Venkatesh, what guidance would you offer, since you are, in the thick of all the, at your institute, thick of all the action where kids are, studying entrepreneurship? What guidance do you offer to budding entrepreneurs who driven by passion who are driven by passion to make a positive impact, but of course are hesitant about embarking on this journey into this world of entrepreneurship. More so when you highlighted that they do see so many failures. So how do you keep them motivated?
2 points. One is hang on to a mentor. You know, you need a mentor. You're young, you have an idea, but doing business, has its own complexities, and to be able to learn all that on the go is a very risky business. You need mentors, and luckily, in India there are many successful entrepreneurs who are available as mentors. In fact, I know even of a website, where there are people listed. You could reach out to them. The name of the website doesn't come to my mind easily, but one of my brothers is part of that. So mentoring, I think there is no shame in asking for help, and many of these people would have gone through the same experiences that our young entrepreneurs are going to embark on, and so having a mentor is a great thing. Second is be a part of an ecosystem. If you find an incubator, like we have an Atal incubation center in our university, it's an ecosystem which connects you to different kinds of resources, right? So you need financing, that is one part. You need to connect with like-minded people, that's another part, and so on. So you need to be part of an ecosystem where you don't feel alone, right? Entrepreneurship should not be a lonely journey. You have the risks. You will stumble, but then if you're part of an ecosystem, there is somebody to hold your hand and take you forward. So I believe in the power of mentors. A good mentor can really make a difference. And second, part of some kind of an ecosystem where you are with like-minded people, and it can sort of trigger ideas, help you get over setbacks, and so on.
Wonderful. So embracing mentorship, being a part of an ecosystem, and networking are some of the key points budding entrepreneurs must embrace. We would love to know this site that you said, because it's not often that you come across someone who would want to mentor you. We would love to know this site as well, because we get a lot of requests from schools. So that will be wonderful to know.
I promise to send you that over the weekend. Just give me a couple of days.
Sure. Thank you so much. Coming to you, Mr. Kungar, this is one of the most important questions that I have always had. What role does failure play in this journey? We've spoken about failure, people fail, but what is the role that failure plays in this journey of this learning, and how can educational programs help students embrace and learn from failures?
I think it's a very relevant question. Again, not only from the entrepreneurial point of view, but from all other aspects of life also. I think one part should be clear to all educationists and we all of us, that how the society is operating, and this is the conditioning of humankind, not only of our society, but across the world. I've seen we are too outcome focused, outcome obsessed kind of generalized kind of opinion we make out of that, and we are not process focused kind of humankind. So I see that a lot. I mean, education is one thing I'll come to, but even in sports, no, howsoever hard a team has fared and however well they have prepared themselves, if the final outcome is not in their favor, then everybody starts blaming them for that. So the point is, the entire ecosystem has been curated in a manner which is more of an outcome obsessed kind of phenomena. And I believe if we need to learn, the mistakes will happen, the failures will come. We can't avoid that in these kind of journeys also, and so in life also, in education also. If we can have that fear of failure being away from us, or at least at a distance where we can look at it objectively and not take it too personally, we'll always be in a journey where we can try out different things and learn from it. So I always believe that there are always two ways. One is that judge's path inside us will always be judging us for what we've been able to do and not been able to do. But the other way is also of a learner's path. Can I learn from whatever has happened with me or through me or whatever the outcome is? Can I learn out of it and move on? So I personally feel one part of it at that level, if you're able to understand that this is some kind of a conditioning, and if you're able to look at it objectively, look at the process per se, look at the learning part of it. Whatever I have learned out of it, we know the famous word of Edison also. We know that 99 ways of not, now I learned the 99 ways of not making a light bulb. So that's how that kind of attitude of learning out of that actually is very, very important. And second part, I also see in that journey, when a person is facing failures, again, you can't have that person going without learning from that experience of yours. But at times, it's very difficult for a person in an entrepreneurial journey to be able to assess it himself. So that part with Dr. Venkatesh was also saying is important to have some mentors at all levels, I believe. In other parts of life also, so there is one position from which I am operating. There's a second position which I can go into and see how the person is operating, the other person is perceiving and seeing it. But I think there is always a third position. And the person who are there at the third position are able to see how the first position is faring, what are they feeling, and what the second position says about them. So synthesizing all of that, if we can make it a process of learning, then that stigma of failure actually will evaporate from our personal life and society, I believe. It's just an important thing to address for sure.
I think beautifully put. This is a beautiful answer. Dr. Venkatesh, I have one last question for you. Since it's the new generation that you're dealing with, are they contributing or thinking about projects which are socially and environmentally so sustainable?
Excellent. Being located where we are, we are in Dadri, and we have a university-wide commitment to the local community, right? And so, we encourage our students as well as our faculty to address local problems. So the last year we had 20 pitches, and by my reckoning, half of them were socially oriented. Now, I'll give you one example. Our students reached out to a center for visually impaired and found out that the visually impaired had some artistic skills. That means, they could paint using their sense of fingers and touch. And they converted these prints into T-shirts with a small motif, saying that these are the artwork of visually handicapped people. And they sold like hotcakes. People were so impressed by the art. And of course, you look at the whole difficulty of creating that. And then I asked the students, how did you hit on the idea? And they said that, they were looking around, they wanted to do something different, and they wanted to also make it, meaningful for the community. And then they came upon this. And so I think, we are fortunate to have students in our university whose parents have been very, very nurturing and very supportive of all their pursuits. As a result, the students are not diffident about experimenting. They want to try stuff. They're not in a rush to get into a big, high-paying job and so on. So we find them thinking very differently. They want to make money, maybe, yes, but they also want to make a difference socially. And we haven't had to do much in that regard. They seem to be inclined like that, and that's possibly because of the good schools like Mrs. Chauhan and Mrs. Kungar are running. They come to us ready with ideas that connect to society. So it's happening as a natural flow. We are not doing anything about it, but I'm proud to say our students are very socially sensitive.
Brilliant. So proud. That brings us to the end of the talk show. Heartfelt thanks to our esteemed panelists for sharing invaluable insights. To conclude, now is really the opportune moment to design and implement inventive learning systems that will foster a robust entrepreneurial culture across schools in our nation. This initiative will equip the next generation with skills and mindsets essential for navigating the evolving world with confidence and inspire them to actively contribute to national growth. While it may not transform everyone into an entrepreneur, it is undeniably will nurture an innovative mindset conducive to excelling in both education and life beyond the school. Thank you all for joining our session today. Until next time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.